Hello YouTube, this is Urban Survivor here, and I wanted to discuss with you today some ways to bug in an urban environment that will give you the best chance of survival no matter what the threat. I don't want to get too into bug in versus bug out theory here, but in a densely populated area, bugging out should be a last resort. In urban and city areas, populations are usually quite dense while resources are scarce, so at any given moment, a large city might only have a few days of food and water on hand at best to take care of a panic-stricken population in the event of some type of large-scale natural or man-made disaster. Rather than risk your life or your family's life on the streets and run the risk of disease, violence, marauders, or whatever other chaos might ensue during a disaster, your best option would be to stockpile some food, water, and other basic supplies to last anywhere from 3 to 7 days at a minimum. This should buy you enough time to ride out most disasters comfortably. Now, if resources are scarce and the people around you become desperate enough to take to the streets and raid people's homes for food and other supplies, there is something you need to consider when beginning to prep for a bug-in situation. The phrase, "society is only 9 meals away from total chaos," should give you an idea of the type of people you would expect to run into during a disaster, and if you are advertising that you and your family are safe and well fed, you may become a target. So today we're going to take a look at a few different levels of bugging in and hopefully deter looters and marauders from attempting to take what's yours. So let's imagine that you live in a house or an apartment either inside or on the outskirts of a major city. If a disaster strikes, you need to think of ways to deter or discourage people from coming into your home. Whether you're going to explore we are going to explore a few different ways to protect yourself in a bug-in situation. So, physical barriers are probably a good place to start. Standard doors and windows really don't stop somebody from getting into your house if they really want to. And if you don't have a good place to hide, your only option may be physical barriers. So you can keep some spare wood around to board up your doors and windows, at least during the initial frenzy. People would probably move right past your house rather than go through the trouble of breaking in and dealing with whoever's inside. You can also plant thorny bushes or place other obstacles around your windows and doors to make it more difficult and less appealing to break in. A good lock always helps as well. You should be able to survive from marauders at least a few days and keep your prep safe with these precautions. Not to mention it would be easier to defend your house if you knew exactly where somebody was breaking in. You might also want to consider moving your flat screen TVs and other nice electronics away from doors and windows and out of sight. A lot of marauders might just be looking for the quick steal, and if they don't see that you have a lot, they might just overlook you. Besides, the power would probably be down and these gadgets would be entirely useless to you anyways, so there's really no use in keeping them around. You can put up an American flag outside your house. It certainly helps to deter burglars because they assume you're armed, and it should probably have a similar side effect for marauders and looters. If you live in an apartment, maybe you can hang one outside your window. And make sure that if they do manage to get inside, you give them hell. Also, if part of your street or some of your neighbors have already been looted, you may want to make it look like your house or your apartment has been looted. You might see a bunch of trash and things on the front yard, things like that. However, you might want to be warned that there's a lot of people who have heard of this tactic and they might be savvy to it, so you may just be setting up to tip somebody off that you are in fact inside. It's good to make it look like nobody's home, so you might want to turn off the lights and maybe move your car around the street or something like that as well. So the next few options have to do with blending into your environment and hiding in plain sight. Concealed doors are becoming more and more popular, and for good reason. You may have heard of a product called the Murphy door, but if not, it's basically a door that looks like a bookcase or a bookshelf, and somebody walking through your house might just see it and assume that there's nothing there. just a bunch of books, when in fact you and your family could be, hiding in a closet or in another room of the house. These run you probably close to $900 online, but if you're crafty, you can build one from your own materials and save some money. Just be sure that you pick a discreet place for your door. You don't want to put it in a place where people expect to see a door and see a bookshelf. They might become suspicious of that. Similarly, you might have an attic, a cellar, a shed, or some other place where you could consider concealing yourself, and also disguising the entrance too. So now we are going to move on to my personal Bug-In plan, which is on a rooftop. So I will walk you through these diagrams that I've made of the roof that I plan to bug in on, pardon me. And you can maybe use this as an idea. So first here, as you can see, this is the roof to the two-story house that I live at. There's, as you can see, the shingles are in brown, and there's kind of sloped or curved places there. And then in the big blue flat rectangle is actually just a flat part. So that's where I would plan to bug in case of an emergency. There's a little blue box at the top, and that is a skylight. And then there's a balcony as well. So you can see here that these two red stars, these are my two rooftop entry points. So one of them on the top is a skylight, and there's a way without even a ladder where I could potentially climb through that skylight, walk across the roof, and go to the flat area. And then at the bottom of the diagram, there is another star, and that is a balcony where I could potentially put a small ladder and climb about 8 or 9 feet up to the roof from there, and then walk down to the flat area. And you can see here this would be relatively easy to defend. There's two different ways people could potentially come, but I would be aware whichever way they are coming, and I could easily defend from the roof, especially if somebody did decide to come up. Moving on, there's multiple methods that I could potentially escape the roof. I could use either the skylight or the balcony, or I could place about a 10-foot plank across onto the roof next door. The house happens to have an identical floor plan, so I know exactly how to move through it, and potentially, if I had to get out of it, exactly how to do that. So if I were to, set up a Bug-In, retreat up there, as you can see here in this diagram, there's two big blue circles on the left side of the house. Each of those has 60 gallons of water. It's been prepped for long-term storage. So what I would do in the case of a potential Bug-In situation is I would start filling up just spare containers full of water and putting that on the roof. You can see here these smaller 3 containers of water. I could potentially keep a lot of water there. And the green square could represent a tent, with places to sleep, and the red explosion diagram could be a good place to keep a small propane stove, and I could keep some extra food supplies there, some solar panels, things like that. And that would potentially provide everything that I would need to bug in for at least 3 to 7 days with no worries. And the reason that I really like the roof is because it's just a place where nobody would go through the effort of checking. So as long as I don't make myself too obvious up there and nobody knows I'm there, I don't see any reason why marauders would be desperate enough to scan for rooftops. If you watched The Walking Dead, you didn't see Rick climbing up people's roofs to check for supplies. It just wasn't done. So it's a great place to hide, and certainly I don't think anybody would expect to find you there. So moving on, if you have the funds, a bunker is the ultimate concealment prep. You can hide away in a bunker indefinitely, and as long as it's well concealed, there's a good chance that nobody would find it, and even if they did, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So anyways, I hope this video gave you a couple ideas. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this will prepare you to bug in an urban environment. Keep an eye open next time you walk around your neighborhood. Look for resources and things close by. Maybe some water sources. You might find places that are a couple blocks away that might be a good place to hide. Maybe another rooftop. Also keep a bug out bag. Obviously, you don't want to bug out, but if you do have to, it's good to have, and also it's good to have all these supplies in a safe place and where you know where everything is. Even in a bug-in situation, the bag is a good way to organize things. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post them below, and I'd be happy to go back and forth with you a little bit and discuss some ways for you to potentially bug in. Thanks for watching.